Good day, scholars. Today we are going to be making predictions. What might happen? In order to make predictions, we must be word detectives. We must look closely at the text to find clues so we can make informed predictions. We're going to look at reading genre. Is the text informational? Is it giving me information? Is it fantasy? Is it so unbelievable? It has talking characters and magic. It could not possibly happen. Am I reading a mystery in which I need to follow clues and collect the clues in order to solve the mystery? Is it realistic fiction? It didn't happen. These characters are made up, but the story itself does happen in real life. Is it a biography? A story about a real person's life written by another person? Is it historical fiction? A fictional story that takes place in history, in a very important parts of history, like the settling of America, or the Civil War, or slavery, important historical moments in our history. Poetry, something written to inspire thought, feelings, or emotions. Scientific fiction, a story that has technology from the future. Is it an autobiography? Is it about a real person written by the same person? Is it traditional literature? Story that's been told from one generation to the next generation. Your father told you a story, and then when you have children, you will tell the same story. We need to pay close attention to the elements of a story. Setting, where the story takes place, when the story takes place. Plot, the series of events in the story. The events reveal the conflict, the crisis, the problems, and the resolution, how the problem got solved. Character, who's in the story, the people or the things who take part in the story. What are those characters like? Point of view, the perspective from which the story is told. Who's telling us the story? Theme, what is the author trying to tell us about the subject of the story? What is the author what's idea is the author trying to give us? Also, the cover and the title gives us an idea as to what we might be reading. We look at the characters. Is it possibly fantasy? We look at the setting. Is it in the future? Is it in the city? Is it in the country? What do the characters look like? What are the characters doing? What words did the author use in his or her title? And lastly, we use our own brain, our own knowledge of ideas that we've already come across, of characters we've already met, of ideas and topics that we've already learned about. And we can use that knowledge to help us make predictions. So, when you make a prediction, you want to write, I predict that, and then what is your prediction? What might happen in this text? And then you want to tell us why. Because why did you make that prediction? What clues did you use as a detective? Was it the genre? Was it a story element? Was it a title? Was it an illustration? Was it a character? Was it the events? Or was it the knowledge that you already have of the subject or the topic? So that brings us to second place, Stephen. I'm going to make the first prediction. I predict that I am going to be reading realistic fiction because of the character. He seems real. It's not like a rabbit, or it doesn't seem to have magical elements in it. So I'm going to go out and say, I predict that I am going to be reading realistic fiction because of the character on the cover. Then I'm going to check my predictions. And as we read, I want you to start thinking about your own predictions. as we start reading, I want you to start making predictions and writing them down. Here we go. Second place, Stephen. Stephen Sanders always came in second place. He had a red ribbon for second place in the library reading contest. He had a red ribbon for second place in his basketball team scoring contest. And he had a red ribbon for second place in the first grade spelling bee. He even had a name for himself. Second place Stephen. Stephen would never forget the first grade spelling bee. He had studied the words over and over. He made it to the final round of the bee. He just knew that he would win first place. Then it happened.
Spell beeline,
the principal said. Beeline, Stephen said proudly. B-E-L-I-N-E.
That's incorrect,
said the principal. Second place again, Stephen groaned. This year, when his teacher, Miss Lee, announced the date of the second grade spelling bee, Stephen was determined to win first place. We received an email about the spelling bee, his mom said that night, pointing to the computer screen. I hope you do it as well as last year. Room 205, parents. The Maplewood School second grade spelling bee will be held on April 5th. The top 2 students will compete in the school-wide spelling bee. Sincerely, Miss Lee. Now it's your turn to make a prediction. What do you predict is going to happen in this story? And why did you make that prediction? I look forward to reading your predictions, scholars. Have a great day.